for the last almost, I think, 7-8 years, I've been freelancing and I've been trying to help the MSMEs in their endeavor. So I know both the sides now fairly well. And I think somewhere Mr. Mukesh had talked about a couple of things which I have noted down because I didn't have pen and paper, so I have noted down in my. So I think a couple of things which he had talked about was very, very important. He talked of starting with that poor management skills is one of the reasons for the entrepreneurs for their failure. Lack of financial knowledge is very specific. Lack of financial knowledge. And somewhere he talked of using working capital for buying capex or paying off your interest on term loans. Gestation period goes beyond what has been stipulated in the project report. Now, these are all very practical things, and one has to keep these things in mind. But what is it that? So before that, in the question answer session, someone had talked about that no one is bothered about NPAs. So that is where I disagree. I think we are very much bothered about NPAs. All of us are bothered about NPAs. Had we not been bothered about NPAs, we wouldn't have been here. Deserves all credit and appreciation for ensuring that NPAs vanish from this scene totally. Coming back to what I was talking about, picking up from where Mr. Mukesh left over, that see all those things, if you summarize that, I mean, I've been using a concept my banking days also, even subsequently, even nowadays also when I interact with the entrepreneurs, there is a concept called financial discipline. If we focus on that, financial discipline will have one dimension of having financial knowledge, number one. Number two, disciplining yourself. Suppose in case we practice financial discipline, these things will not arise, that I divert my working capital for my daughter's marriage or for paying off interest on overrun term loans, etc., etc. So financial discipline is a crux. But now here the issue is that who will build the cat? Who will build the cat? Bankers, in my opinion, see, when I was in the mainstream banking, when I was running a branch, that would have been many, many years ago, that time we used to talk of financial discipline. But nowadays, people don't talk of financial discipline, right? Bankers don't talk of financial discipline. We had a concept of field officer. Every field officer used to interact with the entrepreneur, one-to-one basis. Maybe one field officer will be interacting with 20-25 MSME or SME borrowers. That would have been his portfolio. And he would know each and every entrepreneur's activities. And before he clears a check in his working capital, he will ensure the application of those funds. Whether that particular check has been drawn for purchase of raw material or for purchase of labor charges or for purchase of insurance, etc., etc. He will ensure that it relates only to the running of the enterprise. So that is the financial discipline. So that one leg of financial discipline, which was a big support from banking side, is not to be seen. Right? Now, what about entrepreneur side? Entrepreneurs have their own limitations, their own pressures, their own weaknesses. So that is where I think this particular forum will perhaps bring those things into their focus. I think we can carry our journey with these resolves that we will remain financially disciplined. I get my limits from the bank on a yearly basis, normally, intermediate stages also. Normally 1 year. Now and bankers are normally very conservative. If I ask 100, they will settle down for 80 or 70 or something like that. If I am being very disciplined, then I'll be falling short of funds in certain areas. What do I do? So there are some initiatives which are being taken, which are being talked about of alternative institutional finance. In our country, it has not matured so far, it has not stabilized so far. And that is why, things like people going for high rate of interest funding from local persons, local agencies, etc., etc. So there are inbuilt reasons for a person becoming NPA in case he is not financially disciplined. So I think I would supplement whatever our Mukesh ji has said by saying that one way to nail NPA is remain financially disciplined. It may sound very puritanical if I say this, but this is a very practical advice which I can share with you. that try to remain financially disciplined. Somewhere we talked of financial knowledge also. And I think somewhere he talked about that project report, and he was saying that in case I read the project report, I will be able to tell whether this project will become NPA in 2 years' time or something like that. Now, I'll share with you some familiarity with SMEs in countries like Australia and New Zealand. Their economy is more dependent on SMEs than our economy, and their job market is very, very limited. They have that culture of going for enterprise immediately. Boy or girl graduates, they have ideas of setting up their own industry in that SME category. And their main document is their project report. In case there is a deviation in their project report, even up to 5% in 6 months' time or 9 months' time or 12 months' time, that becomes a cause of concern. It's an alarm for both the banker, for the entrepreneur, and for all the stakeholders. But here somehow the project report has not been taken as a very critical document. So maybe that is another thing that we can keep as an aid for not becoming NPA. One more thing which I thought I'll talk about is the technology. I think Mukeshji talked of lack of technology. This is, I think, something which has to be taken on a war footing. The kind of developments which are taking place around the world, around the globe, and the kind of, I'm sure all of you would recall what our finance minister had spoken about technology while she was presenting her budget. Technology like Industry 4.0, blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, things like that. She is focusing on these technologies, and she wants all MSMEs to, of course, large corporates will always do that, even without finance minister asking them to do it. But MSMEs, the focus is being brought on these new trends in technology. I would suggest that this forum in some way or the other perhaps can take up. I'm also doing something in that area. Maybe I can collaborate here. And something in that area has to be done. One more thing I think he picked up was unhygienic and dirty conditions of working. That is something which is a great concern. I mean, whenever I go to any industrial estate, not only in Hyderabad, anywhere for that matter, this is a big concern. Hygiene, that's a big concern. Funding mismatch, that was point that was picked up by Mukeshji, funding mismatch. So who will bell the cat again in this case? Who will say that, okay, this is the funding mismatch and how to resolve this mismatch? That has to be, I think, institutionally developed. There are no clear-cut solutions available right now in our context. Banks have their own limitations. Of course, banks have created a platform where they interact with the MSME borrowers and they try to resolve their problems. But that's about all. It's not very effective in resolving all the funding mismatches. Because funding mismatch again involves the process of evaluation, discretion, etc., etc., etc. So funding mismatch is a very, very big issue, and that goes into the heart of running an enterprise. If I don't have properly matching funds, then again I'll be having a lot of problems. So there are tendencies. My risk of becoming NPA will increase if there is a funding mismatch. So this issue also has to be brought into focus, and all the associations perhaps should come forward to do something in this area. So I would conclude my few words by saying that things are not at all so bad. Things are absolutely great for MSMEs and for everyone, for every entrepreneur. Things are absolutely great. Problems are there. New problems will come up tomorrow. Maybe some more day after tomorrow. We are here to solve them. That's what entrepreneur is all about. That's what the enterprise is all about. And that's what, look at Desai Sahab, his initiatives. He has been solving the entrepreneur's problems only. So all of us have to come together and in one way or the other we have to solve the problems. Identify the problems, solve the problems in a disciplined manner. Things are wonderful, great, and we are going to hit that target of $5 trillion economy with the gold mine that he has been talking about. Desai Sahab, all the very best. Thank you.